Welcome to TechTalk. My name is Nanna-Louise, Vice President, European Government Affairs for Microsoft. I'm here today with Melanie Nakagawa, Microsoft's Chief Sustainability Officer. Welcome,
Hi.
Melanie. We're here today to talk about how AI can accelerate sustainability and energy efficiency solutions. Welcome, glad to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now we are reaching our midpoint for our 2030 sustainability goals. What are the achievements that you are most proud of, and where do you see the biggest challenges?
So you're exactly right. It's 2025. We're at the midpoint. We announced our commitments back in 2020 to be carbon negative, water positive, zero waste, and protect land, all by 2030. And most recently, we released our sustainability report. And in that report, it was a great opportunity for us to just pause and reflect how far have we come 5 years into the journey, but also have the opportunity to look ourselves in the mirror and say, how much further do we need to go? So let's start with the good news. The good news is that 5 years into our journey, we've made incredible progress in some key areas. It's taught us a lot of lessons. The first is we made a lot of great work on water replenishment and water access for people as part of our water positive commitment. We've met the commitment to reach over 1.5 million people with water access around the world, and we're on track to replenish more water than we consume across all the key basins where we have operations like data centers or campuses. Another great area of acceleration is the progress we're making to actually be a carbon negative business. To be carbon negative, we not only need to reduce the amount of carbon we emit on an annual basis, but frankly, remove the rest as well. And on that removal side, we've scaled this market to nearly 30 million tons procured since the beginning of the program. And what we announced in our report was in just one fiscal year, in the last fiscal year, we procured 22 million tons, which is more than we've done in all the 4 years combined. So we're seeing incredible progress in key markets we're going to need to reach our commitments. Now, the challenges ahead. For that area, I'd say there's two key areas. One is how do we work with our supply chain and partners, which are today over 96% of reported carbon footprint comes from our value chain. How do we work with those suppliers and partners to get them on a sustainability journey with us to help decarbonize what they sell us, what we buy from them, everything from fuels, chips, building materials. How do we bring those into the market that are lower carbon? There's some great examples here in Europe, like Stegra, which is a low-carbon steel facility, but there's more that we need to help scale. And the second key area is, can we accelerate the decarbonization of grids in Europe fast enough? So a key part of reaching our goals is to ensure that we can continue to power our assets with as much carbon-free energy as possible. And a key part of the power source is not just the power that we're getting, but it's the connection and the transmission of that power. So those would be the two key areas.
The EU has set some ambitious environmental goals, aiming to be the first climate neutral continent by 2050. How can AI help Europe achieve these goals and accelerate that development?
Well, it's incredible already the progress that's been made in Europe on their way to achieving their targets. They set midterm targets for 2030, and they're making great progress as a continent towards those. But as we think about 2050, we have to go faster and we have to raise the ambition. And a key way to do that we're starting to see is the role that AI is playing to actually accelerate sustainability progress. There are a couple areas that we're already seeing some really significant wins, areas like in transmission systems and how we can use AI to optimize complex energy systems like transmission grids, and how AI can be used to actually bring more clean energy onto those existing grids. There's other areas where we're seeing progress of AI being able to rapidly accelerate the scientific discovery process, taking what would have taken probably years and bringing that timeline in by months, if not days. There's also great examples where there's opportunities for AI to accelerate the ability to better understand the transmission lines and the energy systems themselves. So for example, let's take the German company E.ON that we're working with. They're using AI for better predictive maintenance. They've used it to deploy over 700,000 kilometers of transmission lines. They use drone technology to better understand what's happening there and deliver better predictive maintenance. That helps save emissions, it helps reduce their emissions, it also helps them improve their reliability and their service. So some great European-based examples of how AI is already accelerating progress.
And how can Europe ensure that sustainability and competitiveness go hand in hand and are not seen as like competing priorities?
It's a great question. And one area we're starting to see this is how can we think about climate ambition and economic competitiveness as a way that's mutually reinforcing? A great way to think about that is the role that competitiveness and climate ambition play in terms of reducing friction in the system. We can actually use the opportunity of driving more climate ambition to reduce the friction that we see in economic development. So there are opportunities here where when we help fast track permitting or increase digitization of complex processes like permitting in governments, you can actually do both and increase economic growth as well as drive more climate ambition.
Data centers play an important role as an infrastructure in Europe, serving our broader economy, but they are also very resource intensive. What steps are Microsoft taking to reduce the environmental impact of our data centers and also help Europe reach its climate goals?
So data centers are both an incredible opportunity to deploy innovative solutions, and we're constantly learning. So, over the next 2 years, we're going to increase our footprint of data centers in Europe by 40%. And this is an incredible opportunity for us to deploy innovative solutions and technologies at the physical site, but also in the application of what we're doing within these data centers. So we think about this from design to operation. On the design side, we're starting to use new innovative water cooling designs at our data centers in Europe, whether that's in the new data centers in Germany or the ones in Spain. We're looking at a closed loop cooling system, which uses zero water for the cooling. And because we have a commitment to be a water positive business, we're also working to replenish water to the key basins where we do withdraw water from. Another great example on the design side is how we're designing to ensure that the energy we are consuming out of these data centers is going to be bringing more clean energy to the grids in which we operate. So already to date, we have signed multiple clean energy agreements with within countries around Europe. And one example is the contract we've signed with Shell, a 15-year contract to bring more clean energy into the German grid to support our growth there as well. Another key area is also in the operations, not only on renewable energy, but also the energy efficiency we're doing within the way we build and train these models and we develop our data centers.
So how do you see the role of AI in enhancing Europe's energy grid resilience and efficiency?
Well, first, we're already seeing great progress in Europe in setting the right incentives to increase digitalization across the board. So that's great. Then the second key area that I think is an opportunity for Microsoft in particular is that a large part of our energy customers are actually European-based, which really indicates that the policy signals and regulations were right to attach to sending the signals to companies to invest in this opportunity. But the next key step of seeing this transition fully take hold is what we need to do for workforce development. How do we help upskill the workforce, both in terms of on the government side as well as within companies, to really utilize the AI solutions to help accelerate the energy transition? That also means that we need to modernize the grids across Europe to help take advantage of this. Now, some companies are already making incredible progress on utilizing AI. I'll play hometown favorites, and I'll pick one from your hometown in Denmark, Vestas. I think you're familiar with this example, but it's so interesting to see how this company is utilizing AI within their wind operations. They can use it to better predict wind flows and tilt the wind turbines to actually produce more energy output using their existing facilities. And who can argue with that as a use case? Another great use case is what we're seeing of AI being used by grid operators and transmission players to help optimize transmission systems. Little known is that not all transmission systems are running at 100% capacity. And so AI is a great solution to help optimize those types of complex systems to actually bring more energy to those grids. And in many places across Europe, that means bringing more clean energy onto existing grids as we work to expand grids and modernize them.
What are some of the most promising, exciting sustainability inventions that are coming out from Europe? And do you see a role for Microsoft in helping those innovations to succeed and scale?
There are three ways we see an opportunity for really incredible innovation coming out of Europe. The first way is first through our Climate Innovation Fund. This was a commitment we made back in 2020 to deploy $1 billion into innovative solutions that we need to see commercially viable by 2030 to meet not only Microsoft's commitments, but frankly, those countries in which we operate or the other markets that we're helping to accelerate. So one example is the work we're doing with Climeworks, where the Microsoft Climate Innovation Fund has supported the growth of that business, but at the same time, we've also negotiated procurement off of that carbon removal project. Another good example is the work we're doing in Sweden with Stockholm Exergi to also procure high durability carbon removal from those projects. The second area, in addition to our investment opportunity, is the role that Microsoft can play in accelerating innovations within the European context. So these are examples of some of our investments in Mitiga, based in Spain, which is deploying an innovative software solution for climate risk and reliability. And then the third area is how do we support a policy environment that helps these companies grow and scale and help these both European grow in investment, but also helping them scale around the world.
Thank you so much for sharing all your insights. It was great to have you. Great to hear all those European examples. Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me to speak here. In particular, Europe is going to be so critical to how Microsoft reaches our 2030 and beyond commitments. The innovation, the clean energy work that's happening here, and just the opportunity to work with so many partners and companies in our journey. This is an incredible opportunity, so thank you again.